All right, let's start. So hello everybody to a new edition of the bioRN member-to-member session that we're streaming live from the bioRN offices today. As you know, the aim of the bioRN M2M is to present companies from our continuously growing life science network to make their expertise, also their corporate philosophy visible, and therefore hopefully open up new business opportunities within our life science ecosystem. So my name is Stephanie, I'm PR manager, and I'm looking forward to talk today to Yanis Tolstov, Head of Sales at Arcondis Germany, a global consulting company focusing exclusively on the healthcare and life science industry for now 21 years. And of course, I'm very curious to find out more about the services with its 360-degree consulting approach, as I've learned, and the added value Arcondis can bring, especially to our members. So great to have you here, Yanis.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Wonderful. When we had a chat prior to this interview, you told me that the campus Neuenheimer Feld is quite familiar to you. And that brings me, of course, to my first question. Would you share with us your career journey and your motivation working in this field and especially became part of Arcondis?
Absolutely. It will be a pleasure. Indeed, I've been in these premises for a number of years, working not far away from here, from Neuenheimer Feld. That was one of the first appointments that I had within Germany. But I am coming from bilingual family, originally from Latvia, and however, half of my life I spent within the United States. This is where I finished my original education with the medical school at Yale University. Afterwards, promoted into the interest of biology. This is where I was dragged into studying a lot of biological expertises and learning depth fields of medicine and biology. After doing all the regular paths of having finished my PhD and postdoc, I was interested in research very much. And for a number of years, I was like many of our colleagues here, also being dragged into this territory was really a pleasure. And after that, quickly realized that since you develop some expertise and you're learning on the path and seeking for some of the options with the diagnostics area where I was working at the time, we developed some patents, and it was a driving path for us to start looking for me specifically for the business education as well. And after graduating from the MBA, I started working as a consultant. That was my first affiliation with the consulting with McKinsey & Company back in the days, and and that was pretty much my start of the career, more or less, within this area. After returning back with my family to Europe, I was managing a research facility here in Heidelberg, not far away from here, and this is where I was recruited afterwards into the pharmaceutical environment, working for the German pharma company for about 8 years. This is where I was leading the commercial teams, and afterwards, combining my background in business and biology and medicine, for the last 4 years before joining Arcondis, I was a chief medical officer, leading medical and scientific affairs.
A very broad range of expertise.
Correct. Doing a lot of interesting stuff, but still will really be passionate about consulting, about taking this path, interesting projects, and since last year, I'm working for Arcondis. This is a global company that I represent today, which has more than 250 employees globally, and I'm leading the commercial part for the Germany in Arcondis holding.
Which brings me to our next question, where we want to spotlight the company Arcondis, of course, you're working for. When was Arcondis founded, and by whom, and what was the motivation of the founders and the vision at that time?
Thank you. That's a very interesting question, because company is not really trivial, and I will explain what I mean. The company originally was settled in 2001 near Basel, in Switzerland, primarily targeting within the IT topics and the consultant and the founder. One of the founders, Chris Baumgarten, he's still an active consultant. He's still working within the organization. Since then, company of course evolved big time and recruited a lot more people. But the idea was from the beginning to support people within the healthcare industry and the life sciences with multiple projects, and it just grew out of a proportion pretty much right now, because it's a global company at the moment. We are having offices right now in the 6th country. So started from Switzerland, then it moved to Germany. We have also Slovakia, we have Malaysia, Singapore, US, So that truly allows us to speak for ourselves and demonstrate that we indeed a global company that you can see in the slide. And that also allows us to serve different customers within the life science industry, not only within the European area, but throughout the geographical areas and different time zones.
And speaking about key figures, you have a remarkable 20% growth each year, as I've learned, right?
That is very true. We indeed quite a very diverse company, I would have to say, which is a very interesting one. As I said, it's over 250 employees, over 24 nationalities within this number of people, which is truly fascinating. It's pretty interesting that the clients is as many clients as we have people working in the company. So it's over 200 also throughout the years. And what differentiates us from everybody else is that we're indeed focusing on the life science sector. This is where we started, and this is where we are in building our expertise.
Wonderful. So, is there a change in the company mission if you look back and have a look at today when the company really has this remarkable growth?
Yes, indeed. From one perspective, the mission was always to serve and to support the customers who is really working and interested in the healthcare industry. But within our culture, it started to grow. So as I said, mentioned in the beginning, there was more of the support services for the IT, some of the validation services, what we started as one of the oldest services. Now it bloomed within the different areas. We started to work within different directions, more or less. We're supporting digitalization, IT functions as from we started for, but also medical offices. We're doing a lot with sustainability topics right now. So, and the company, I would say, naturally evolving from what we've seen in the beginning. So this is where we see our core values is more or less respect, transparency, trust, quality, learning, and a global embrace. And I would have to say that with all of these wonderful individuals right now, this is still the case on the company. That dragged me into join this wonderful collection of very bright people with a lot of different skills.
Okay, so before we deep dive into the services, we have a wonderful video Yanis brought today spotlighting the Arcondis mission and spirits. So let's watch the video.
We are not just a company. We are a community. We share a common goal: making healthcare better globally. In the vast landscape of life sciences, change begins with a single drop, a small idea, a humble start. Arcondis evolved, gaining strength and momentum. Today, Arcondis stands as a global professional services company, exclusively focused on the life sciences and healthcare sector.
The transformation of Arcondis has been extraordinary. From our humble beginnings as an IT consultancy company 2 decades ago, we have grown into a well-respected professional service organization. We are owned by a foundation that wants to make an impact for society. Grounded in our values, we provide knowledgeable, innovative, scalable and sustainable solutions for our healthcare clients. We serve patients, society and our environment.
Uniquely owned by a foundation committed to improving healthcare, Arcondis is not just a company. We are a global force for positive change. We accelerate value creation for our clients. In research and development, manufacturing and supply chain, marketing, sales and services, consistently making healthcare better globally. Arcondis thrives on providing end-to-end solutions focusing on digitalization, data, IT and infrastructure, product lifecycle management, industry compliance and managed services, and people and culture. We are transparent and outcomes-based through excellence and consistency in our delivery, from strategic planning to hands-on delivery and beyond, to ultimately benefit patients. Arcondis has earned the trust of leading companies in pharma, medtech, healthcare and startups. We are the bridge between innovation and implementation. We are the driving force behind progress in the life sciences sector, making healthcare better globally. From a single drop to a mighty river, Arcondis continues to shape the future of healthcare. Join us in our commitment to a healthier world. We make healthcare better globally. We are Arcondis.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, and apologies. I think the video slowed a bit down in the middle, but I hope all was fine for the attendees. So, Janis, the company provides services for over 20 years, we've learned. And now, of course, we are curious to get a deep dive more into these specific pillars you've already mentioned. So,
Definitely.
yeah.
Thank you. And I think that actually slowing down in the course is not really a big deal because the message may be seen
yes, definitely.
in this respect. But what I wanted to share also to really demonstrate a little bit also to previously what you mentioned, Stephanie, regarding the evolution of the company, because transformation, as our global CEO just mentioned right now in the video, been really tremendous. Because originally when we started within this company, there was mostly a collection of skills with the people, individuals who started to work and apply the skills and knowledge to solve clients' situations, problems, issues, and hoping them to grow faster. However, later on, what really passed out from the skills, we started to develop certain capabilities, right? For example, if you're talking about, I don't know, quality management system, right? In the beginning, you're talking about somebody who's knowing the ISO norms really well and understand their applicability, but then on the capabilities level, you become able to demonstrate that that can be put together as a package, right? So different companies. And what is recently kind of evolved within the organization is that now we are service-based and service-driven. This allows us to have a strategically crafted offering to the customers. So that allows us to serve really global corporations on the full scale of the offering what we are doing. And these are pretty thing that makes a lot of difference to the companies, because it comes now as a standardized topics and a lot of things. You don't have to go project by project with the clients, which we still do a lot as well, based on specific needs. But it's actually demonstrate this fantastic value of the customers come and pick up the pieces what they really need, starting from the small, like we talked about the startups, moving to the global corporations who really need to have dynamic changes throughout the entire organization.
Which means that the consultants working for Arcondis have a very broad skill set and
Correct.
let's say are customized towards the customer needs in the end.
Yes.
Do I get it right?
That is correct.
Can you talk about the skill set a little bit? Where are they from? What studies?
That's it's a very diverse answer would be to this question, because indeed within the organization, and I have to say it's truly remarkable that having such a bright individuals within the organization, starting from different areas. We have specialists in IT, engineers, we have chemical engineers, we have a lot of biologists also. So this is a very diverse set of individuals who've been professionals within their field, because majority of the people previously they work somewhere else within the organization, they learn the business, they learn the massive skills, and then afterwards, after joining here within Arcondis, they apply these skills into the organization and deliver and subscribe to the services in the end. And that's where we're seeing a lot of different scope. I struggle to name an area where we cannot help, to be honest, because we start, as demonstrated here, we're working on different areas. These are 4 major pillars what we provide. Within starting from digitalization, data and IT, to the product lifecycle management, industry compliance and managed services, and people and culture. And the last pillar is also very interesting because we not only supporting the clients on the different topics where they need help immediately or prospectively, but also we bring people with us on the journey. And taking this organizationally makes a lot of difference, because when any organization have to improve something new, do something challenging, it's sort of a stress in the end, right? And the people have to be brought in together. They need to be trained, they need to understand the path, And this is where we also bring in the last pillar, which is being tremendously helpful for all of these transformations.
Especially in these days. So
Correct.
I also learned that Arcondis is owned by the Arcondis Foundation, which supports life science startups. And I found it very interesting. Can you briefly explain what the background is and how startups can benefit?
Absolutely. So, indeed, we are driven by the foundation from 2017 right now, and that gives us the purpose not only to help and work and act as a normal commercial entity, as a company, but we're also giving away to the society back. And what we do is that within this foundation, on basically as a tremendous foundation for this whole company structure, we are owned by the foundation, and that means all the wealth, all the knowledge is being distributed throughout the people who works in the organization. So all the stakeholders what we have, they're all internal.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that the company is fully owned internally. We also have a really big entrepreneurial focus. So that means that we are supporting also some companies who just starting their path on this journey. And one of them would be a startups, for example. So we also have a program which we are supporting some of the companies either financially or with some advices in terms of how to work on this area. Startups is one of the fresh, I would say more or less, services what we are having within the organization as well. And that could be everything from seeking the financial support and identifying the investors, or that could be also, for example, general consultancy guiding how to set up the structures, how to put the QMS system down, how to have a proficiently and efficient organization. And also, what's the next step for the organization will be if you're early in the development of your company.
Okay, and you also, or Arcondis also invented a Global Social Impact Startup Grant in 2024. And the recipient was M2M Incubators. What's the mission behind and how can startups apply? So
we select, this is the program we target to select and support. Was the grant what we gave last year to this organization we just named. It's a very honorable test what they come up with. They are found a very unique way to support prematurely born babies who usually require certain stationary equipment, which usually are in the hospitals, clinics. They're very bulky, big, and in developed countries it's usually not that much of an issue. But if you're moving away from and transitioning from the larger city centers and going to the rural environment, especially in certain countries, that could be a major factor contributing to the deaths. And in order for this company came out with a very interesting solution of creating a portable and relatively cheap way to build these carriers for the babies, specifically to survive this initial weeks, days, or something which is needed in order for them. And that's where we see a really fantastic opportunity. It's a very successful start. We were supporting them financially, and now they are expanding their path with this product, which I'm going to be absolutely sure that it will be a tremendous success.
wonderful. And how can the startups apply? Is there a specific call each year, or how does
We're doing this on a yearly basis,
Okay.
and that means that the company, if they're interested to participate, to be considered for this program, they can apply, and we will be very happy to consider every single application.
Great. So now let's move from the foundation and mission of the company to the overview of your service division and make more deep dive into specific solutions you provide. And to the attendees, if you have already questions, please type them in the chat and I will read them at the end of the interview. So, again.
Thank you. So I'll step aside really to demonstrate what we mean here. I already mentioned these four major pillars what we're working with within our services. And what you see here, that this is within on the left side, these are these digitalization, data, infrastructure, product lifecycle management, industry compliant managed services, and people and culture. On the X scale, we also have certain support for the areas where the company is usually traditionally performing their business, so there will be research and development, procurement, marketing, sales, and after sales activities as well. So here, this is just a general kind of a summary slide illustrating what areas we are supporting. So starting from digitalization of the laboratories in manufacturing, digitalization of customer engagement. We're now doing interesting project within artificial intelligence. We're seeing quite a rise and interest into these territories as well. Our traditional core, I would say, work is an IT, and that would mean strategy development, system implementations. One of the new services that we also provide right now within the organization is the medical affairs and medical services in general. So this is entitled strategy and operations, medical product development and excellence. And that's been a really interesting and rapidly growing sector of the services what we're doing right now. Another interesting side will be sustainability,
Right.
because this is where the area commands a lot of the companies moving to the next frontiers, being certified for the Green Lab certifications, and this is also what we are support because we are a partner of the Green Lab. Of course, all the normal business activities like market research, for example, being supported by us, and patient insight services. Set up work with the scale-up advisory, that would be referring to what you mentioned before on the startups, businesses as well. We are supporting everybody who's beyond A+ levels on the support, on advisory, on the searching for the financials, and also within seeking for them, helping them with the customer, for example, base. Because that would be one of the recent services what we also provide. So if a startup have established a product and wanted to find out somebody who would be interesting, we also can support.
That's wonderful, but I would like to come back a bit on the topic or the area of sustainability consulting, where you act as commercial head, I've learned.
Yes.
So, Arcondis became in 2024 the first official gold level accelerator partner of My Green Lab. To help increase sustainable certifications in laboratories of clients. So what specific services do you provide for your customers in this field?
Yeah, sustainability is an actively growing field as well. This slide illustrates pretty much, and I hope for our viewers this has been able to really demonstrate this. And if you are interested in any specific, please visit our website, because it's also illustrates all of this material that we're discussing right now. But most and foremost, it's probably a general certification for the sustainable lab, for the Green Lab certification. This is a requirement more or less imposed on a lot of manufacturers and producers to really watch over how they're doing within the utilizing of the resources, the water, using of the energy, not polluting the environment more or less, doing the smart manufacturing, for example, and reporting. Sustainability reporting is one of the big topics here
In Germany, yeah.
as well, and I would say in Germany you're completely correct. Also PFAS, it's the chemicals who have a really long-term degradation history, and this has been pretty seriously impressed right now on the companies producing those in order to handle them carefully and appropriately. And this is where we also provide some guidance and support. So as you can see, it's a multiple topics where we can help with sustainability. And I have to say that we're working here also with the companies small and large, because we have one of the exemplary would be a global pharmaceutical company that we're supporting right now, just building certification for the Green Lab. Very large project, and it goes very successful so far, halfway done, halfway on the go. At the same time, we're also consulting and advising of a smaller size company in terms of what they need to consider. Or if you plan to manufacture a new facility, for example, you need to start thinking about these kind of topics early in advance, not to miss them later, because as you know, redoing usually costs you more than to think about that from the beginning.
Which brings me to one important question. You said you advise customers of all sizes.
Yes.
So how do your consulting approaches differ in terms of client size, and can startups really afford your services?
Very good
Especially the
question.
small ones.
Very good question, thank you. Indeed, we're working with the clients big and small. And I have to say that on that territory, we can demonstrate the track record of working with really big international corporations. This is where we allocate a lot of resources, big groups of professionals who attack from different topics, which needs to be scheduled and done. But also for the smaller companies, we also usually create only dedicated teams. And these teams working on the client's needs, usually what we are providing. And in the beginning, what we also advising that the companies have to go through the stage, for example, of evaluating current needs. And sometimes the client don't know what's the problem, right? It just doesn't work very efficiently. For that, we also have a wonderful service called Operational Excellence, what we're doing. But in any case, in many initial steps, I would say, especially for the companies who are smaller and do not have a really huge budget, to do certain big, massive moves. This is where we can come over, take a look, and to provide a workshop and work with them and really evaluate what was really needed as a next step, depending on the need. For example, the company wanted to go for the FDA certification of the product. So we can evaluate, we can provide input, we can do with them internal audit.
Mm-hmm.
That helps them to understand where they're standing within the preparation of the process. Is it ready? Is something is missing? We're providing the gap analysis. So regardless of the size of the project, it could be a really big installment for a few years what we have to do, or a really small project where the company really wanted to understand what is missing, what could be support them, and what would be preparation plan for them. These areas we also can help.
Okay, so to all of you who would like to have concrete numbers, please contact Janis afterwards.
Absolutely.
Right. So, coming back to the topic of AI or also digital technologies, which are accelerating, of course, the process of innovation, production, and provision of products. You could say that speed wins. How do you see German biotechnology SMEs positioned, and where do you see the biggest challenges from the Arcondis perspective?
Very interesting question as well. We do see a certain trend right now within Germany and also major European countries, is that it's definitely different environment than it used to be 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Economical situation driving companies into be more considerate and careful in terms of their spending, in terms of the allocations of their resources, hiring needs and things like that. And for that we see that those companies who really put a lot of efforts into thinking into the next step and strategical advancements and how to do this more efficiently, cheaper, faster, these are in our eyes, would be definitely companies who will be winning the markets.
Mm.
Here, this is where we're helping on a routine basis, because careful planning is sometimes really necessary for this company, especially if you're walking this path the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And you've never done this before. This will provide you additional pressure. And this is where we can come and advise and explain what would be the next best applicable stage based on your resources, your needs, or your interest.
Okay, future skills are one of
Correct.
the words. So
Correct.
so let me just check if there are already some questions here. Not yet, so I move on with my next question. Company is part of a strong innovation network, of course, which is bioRN. How can you help our members, or is there a specific offer you can provide?
Absolutely. We definitely interested. We've been a happy member of the bioRN community for a couple of years already by now. And what we're interested in definitely growing this network, really to discuss with people. We wanted to exchange the ideas and the trends, what we're seeing. But of course, I mean, we're definitely interested in helping the companies with whatever needs they currently have. I already explained what kind of services what we are providing. On a small and a big level, we definitely can support the companies overcome the difficulties what they're currently facing. Either it could be a regulatory topic, quality topics, developments, expansions, geographical topics, everything what we can be supportive, we will be very happy to discuss. And how we consider this, there's never project too big or too small, because in any case, as soon as we're serving and supporting the clients, this is pretty much in the core of our values. And we definitely see some potential within also the network, really to discuss with the members if they require certain support, if they're interested in to outline how could be things done, or they're interested in the very new trends, what we are pretty much leading in a lot of areas, in the digitalization, AI, medical services, operational excellence. And this is where we're definitely happy to support and step in with the services which is needed for these customers.
Wonderful. And on the other side, how can our members support you?
That's a very good question as well, thank you. We definitely seeking expansion of our network. We wanted to learn and also to meet more of the perspective, not only clients but also colleagues. Of course, that what means for us, it's very interesting to see what's the members of the communities right now doing. What is the next development for them? Is there something where we can collaborate on certain topics? Is our help is needed? Maybe we will see some additional areas where we can work together. And for that, we are definitely seeking to get to know them more and to advertise not only our services, but also support them with their developments.
Great. So one of the ideal occasions to meet Yannis would be one of our bioRN lounges, or contact Yannis, of course, directly. So now I have a question from the attendees. Are you able to adapt your consulting according to the budget of the company? For example, a small company wants to establish more sustainable processes but has only limited resources.
Mm-hmm. You would be surprised, but this is a very, very typical question. And it's a really good one, because indeed the companies on a small scale would be interested to have some support. As I said, it could be different topics. As I suggested in the beginning, what we can do, for example, if the budget is limited and we never only considering the financial part, we're seeing some interesting development projects and investments topics, where we definitely interested to support here is that we can look at the current situation at the company. For example, as I mentioned before, it could be quality topics or anything else. We can have a workshop together, evaluate what's the problem, where the company stands, where it wanted to go, what is needed, and support there to really evaluate what's the next steps, provide some work in the beginning. And with many companies, I have to say, we're starting small, but then we're growing together as a partnership. And in the end, this is something what we are looking for, to contribute to the successful development companies here within the region.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Yannis. So we are almost at the end. Just checking if there is another question there. No. So I think it was a wonderful and very informative interview, Yannis. Thank you very much. To the attendees, of course, this interview will be online on our website shortly. And the next member-to-member interview will take place at April 8th with the IKTZ, one of our members in the network. So, thank you very much again. Thank you, Yannis. Thank you, Arcondis, and bye-bye.
We thank you, the R&D cluster, for this opportunity, and really looking forward to discuss and exchange. Please contact us if you have any questions or would like to discuss. Thank you, and bye-bye.
Start. So, hello.